welcome everyone to Wednesday Night Live, June 22nd of 2022. Tim, episode 86?
837.
Let's just make a big number. It is the 10,000 episode of Wednesday Night Live.
246.
Let's.
It's 86.
86. I was close. 86. Yep. Episode 86, and we got a lot to talk about today, a lot of stuff happening today, and we're not going to mess around, so we're going to jump right into our hellos, and we will start with Mr. Tim over there. Tim, how are you doing?
Hot.
It's hot.
It's effing hot. I don't know what happened. I don't subscribe to, preaching about climate change, but something changed, and it's fucking hot. It's hot here in Atlanta. But you know what? I'm not going to complain because people say it's hot Atlanta, right? Like, so you would think that when someone says that, it's like 107, 108, I'm throwing out a weird number, but it's like 96, but it feels like 102 with the UV index.
Yeah.
And it's just a stagnant heat. But you know what? A lot of people feel that. So I don't think I'm unique just because I live down here. People just say that. So it's all a myth. It's like popcorn lung. It's a myth.
It's a myth.
But anyway,
it just keeps hanging around.
It does, and it just hovers. It just doesn't do anything. It just kind of stays there. So I try to live in air conditioning.
Yeah, I've had mine on, and I laugh because here, I'm sure it's everywhere. It's the same way. It's 78 degrees. If you're home, set it to 78. If you're in bed and it's nighttime, set it to, I forget what they say, like 80 something. I'm like, screw you bastards.
Who made that rule?
It's supposed to conserve energy during the peak hours. So like when you're home, you should have your thermostat set at 78. And if you're in bed, it should be like in the 80s, somewhere around the 80s.
Wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you sleep naked above the sheets and everything, I guess you're okay, but
not this kid. It's like 72, 71, depending on what the temperature is.
Yeah, that's cold in the house. And you have a newer home, so it's probably well insulated to where it feels like 72 in there.
No, builders suck anymore. They just do the bare minimum that gets through them through code, and even my AC unit broke. I think about a month ago, and I had to have it charged up. And the guy came through, and he's like, you know what? He's like, the one thing you don't have in this house, which would help keep this house a lot cooler, is return vents in every room. I have 2 massive return vents, one on the first floor and one on the second floor, and that's it. And so he's like, yeah, it just doesn't this house doesn't get cooled efficiently or heated efficiently. So, whatever. What am I supposed to do about it?
Fix it, goddammit. You got the money.
No, I just want the AC
producing
colder.
all those albums with what's this, Skid Row.
What am I going to do with those? Use them as a fan?
And let's say hello to Paul, who is living winter. He's living winter in Australia now. You can see it. Paul's starting to wear sweaters now and stuff. So we see that the change of climate. You can blame Al Gore. I was going to say that to Tim. Just blame Al Gore.
Why am I going to blame Al Gore?
Because he invented the internet,
He invented the internet, and I think he invented the term climate control or climate change.
Climate change? That was him?
Yeah, that was him.
Okay, well, let's all blame Al Gore.
Yeah. Where is that bastard at anyway? In Australia?
I have a bone to pick with his wife, with Tipper. Tipper headed up the committee called the PMRC when she wanted to put the ratings on albums back when they were coming after like Motley Crue and Judas Priest and talking about their lyrics, and I guess a couple kids who liked heavy metal committed suicide, so they thought the lyrics were influential and yada yada yada. But anyway, she drove that whole advocacy group to put the ratings on albums. That was Tipper Gore.
I never knew who it was until now. I always thought it was some idiot in a back office.
It was an idiot, Paul. It was truly an idiot.
It was her, and she was also going after TV as well. She was one of those that was helped that push with what's the goddamn show on Fox back in the 80s? Married with Children.
Oh, she went after that show.
Oh,
Hey, Mallory, what's up?
Oh,
Hey, Dean, how are you, buddy?
Poor Peggy Bundy.
Poor Peggy. Yeah. Too bad she was just married to Al Gore. I mean, Al Gore, who's Al. There you go, another Al.
Yeah.
So how's it going there, Paul? You staying warm?
Oh, I'm staying warm for the most part, but during the day, at the moment we've got no rain. We've got sun in the sky, but
nice.
It's still chilly, but not stupidly cold like it normally is.
Yeah. Are you guys in a drought as well over there still, or no? Because you guys had a lot of rain last year. I remember that.
But like parts of Australia are still in drought. They don't often come out of drought. Like out in the middle of nowhere, that's still in drought because there's nothing there really.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But there's already been snow down south on some of the ski sections. I don't think we've seen the coldest part yet of this winter somehow. But I'm okay with it.
No Rams hat today. It's too hot for a hat here. Way too hot for a hat here today. And I got to tan this real estate on there. I got to tan it because it doesn't look good in camera.
It almost blinded me when I first logged into the show. I was like,
I may need to sell some advertising space to Wednesday Night Live right here on my forehead.
Why don't you just put the hashtag on your forehead? Vaping saves lives, and just wear that during the show.
Somebody should invent that to where it will follow your head, and I don't have to like write it on there. Just have it as like.
I'm sure there's a filter somebody has somewhere.
Yeah, and they just follow my head around.
There would be no doubt.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody has it. Somebody's got it out there. My week has been pretty busy. It's been hot as fuck here, trying to finish my yard work. I've given up because, again, they put more restrictions on our water. So I say, you know what? Fuck the lawn. Fuck the lawn. It could be brown. It could be dead. I'm done. I'm not even going to attempt to try to get green grass. I think next year I'm going to do the fake grass. The whole yard, the whole front yard.
AstroTurf it?
Yep. Yeah, but then the newer stuff that looks like blades of grass.
Yeah.
So they
That's
say,
smart.
they say the colors, that's the only thing I was worried about is how long does the color last on that stuff. And if it's only like 3 or 4 years or 5 years, but people were saying that it's good for like 15, 20 years. So, and you never have to fucking cut it or water it.
Hey, I'm all about low maintenance.
I was going to do rocks, but my grandkids are still too young, and they will pick up the rocks. And I see a lot of broken windows, so I was like, yeah.
Yeah, some people have done that in this neighborhood, and I mean, just in like the flower beds and stuff, and I'm not a fan.
And just
some people did the lava rock, like in Vegas, where they all do that red lava rock. I can't stand that either.
Yeah, we got a lot of people who are just doing like maybe like a 6 foot by 6 foot patch in the middle of grass, and then the rest is dirt and rocks, just to kind of get away from conserving water.
Or go ahead.
I can still remember this guy's driveway not far from my house, and they used to have these little quartz pebbles, like as part of the driveway. Yeah. And all of us, we used to make slingshots when we were kids.
Oh, hell yeah.
So we used to go and fill our pockets from his driveway.
Everything.
He got the shit so bad because he wondered, like every few days there'd be patches taken out, and you'd see him there with bags refilling where we'd been.
Filling your Ziploc sandwich bag out with pebbles.
No, we were filling our pockets and then going to school because the school was just around the corner from his place.
Yeah,
and so
breaking windows. You breaking windows, Paul? You're shooting. No. You're shooting wildlife.
No.
Scorpions, kangaroos.
We don't have scorpions.
All right, whatever. You got all the other poisonous shit out there.
You have scorpions, John.
Yeah, we have scorpions here.
Yes.
Yeah, we have them all over the place here.
Yeah,
not here in Modesto, thank goodness. Maybe, I don't know. I've never seen one here, but I've only got to drive like 45 minutes away north to see them. Well, enough about the kangaroos and the scorpions and the climate change and Al Gore and Tipper, whatever I can't remember. Tim gives her the big number one. Tim, say hello to our viewers.
Yes. Hey, all two of you. How you guys doing tonight? Yeah, I don't know. The regular crowd is not here tonight. I don't know what happened. Is there some holiday going on?
I think everybody's mad with all the news today. It's
okay, well maybe they are, but then they should come here for a little, decompression. I mean, we're your support team, right? We're your safety net for all your frustrations. So, hey to Dean Adams, how you doing, man? How are you? Good to see you on the show. And of course, Mallory Gates, the Mallory Gates. Yes. So we've got a couple more out there watching the show.
Yeah.
So
Dean from England. Dean is from England, so I'm surprised Dean is still awake. Well, it's pretty late there. 9 hours for me, so that's what. Yeah.
Well, it'd be 6, I believe, for me from the East Coast.
Yeah, Dean. Dean, you live in part of England that is able to vape without any issues, flavors, everything.
Isn't that all of England?
Yeah, it's all. Well, yeah. He's a lucky man. We got a lot to talk about today in the news, and I kind of tagged the name of the show. So where am I at? Sweden Parliament says hell no to flavor ban. You're closer to it, Paul. Were you surprised by that? Well, you're not that close, but you're close enough.
No, I'm not surprised at all. I'm glad that they took the opposite approach. It's a smart move.
Well, let's be realistic, though. They're a public health system. They're not private like America, so they're more inclined to make decisions like that.
Yes and no. There was a lot of chatter that they were going to keep going down that pathway, but then they decided, no, this is actually in public health. So, yeah. It's a little bit different.
That's what I got from the article.
That's how I see it, like from a public health perspective. But
I can't say this guy's name.
They did the right thing.
I can't say this guy's name, but he said limiting flavors in any alternative product which can reduce the population of smokers is not in line with us. So basically, it was a 177 to 126 vote, turning it down. And I wasn't aware of this, but I remember we talked about it before. But snuff is big there, right?
Oh, huge.
Yeah. Well, snus.
Snuff.
No F. SNUS. Snus.
Snus.
Snuff is something completely different. But
yeah. I don't know anything about that stuff. I mean, is that some? I don't even know how. Is that the stuff that the people were blowing in their nose?
Yeah, you snort it. You put it like on the
I've seen it
edge of your thing, and it's just like they sniff a little tobacco.
That's snuff, but snus or the pouches that you're talking about,
right?
They just go in here.
That's what's big over there, right? The patches, right, that go under their lips.
Yeah. No, they just go in here. It's like a little pouch. Yeah. Well, there's moist snus and then there's dry snus. And then now it's moved. They've got all the technology behind it and all the testing. And when you're traveling, if you ever get into any of those regions, grab yourself some and stick it in while you're flying and stuff, and it calms the hell down. It's actually quite good.
And that, from what I read, that is made with a synthetic nicotine as well.
It can be, yes, but it was traditionally made with like regular nicotine, and then the invention of synthetics, and now the really high quality synthetics, they're moving over to that market. And there's numerous variations of it, and it's actually very satisfying. I've used it in the past. I like it.
All right, silly question. Is it flavored?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is flavored?
Hell yeah.
All right.
And now that they've got really high quality synthetics, the flavors are now moving a whole lot different in a different direction. Originally, it was like the mints and tobacco flavors, but now you are starting to see some really, really, really high quality flavors. Not a lot, but the flavors that are there, they're on point.
They're on point. Yeah, I posted the link to the article. It's in the Facebook group or Facebook page, and it's also on the YouTube channel. So if you guys want to go and read that article, I couldn't say half the people's names in that article. So
well,
those are some hard freaking names.
I'd have no hope in pronouncing them, but
there's different kinds of snus.
Yeah,
so you have the pouches and you have like the powder.
Yeah. Oh, that's similar to dip. That one.
It says snus on the package though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Siberia. Yeah, white dry. There's moist and dry. Yeah.
Mint original.
There's Marlboro's got one. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, most of it comes in a pouch form.
It looks like the Skull Bandits from back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know what that is, but that was the first
Camel,
one.
They are Camel. A number of the big players have got their hand in it. There it is, Gerard.
That's what I was wondering. Who produces that stuff? Who produces that stuff over there in Switzerland? That's what I was kind of trying to look into.
Sweden.
In Sweden. Yeah.
There's Skull Snus.
Yeah, Skull.
Yeah.
Looks like tobaccos and mints mostly.
Yeah, that's the majority. But now there's a couple of the companies. I know that one has, believe it or not, they do have a mango. And I know of another company that has a strawberry.
He said that for our benefit, Tim. They do have a mango.
Yeah. And a very, very, very good strawberry that I can remember, but I don't remember who made it. But yeah, the majority of them, the little tins remind me of little caviar tins. That's how I've always remembered the stuff.
Yeah.
But
do you have any? I was going to look it up, but I was trying to figure out what the dollar value is on that stuff, or how much it is at the market. How much does a can of that stuff go for? And then I was also wondering.
It varies on the different grade of it. But
okay.
Yeah, that stuff. That's the one that I had, Gerard, and it was a
there you go.
Whiskeys. Yeah.
Woo. I used to do that with my Jack Daniel. With Copenhagen and Jack Daniels. We used to pour a shot of Jack Daniels in our Copenhagen, put it on our windowsill for about a week, and then we would chew it. Yeah.
There's coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the smoking rates are really low there as well, so it's not an issue, as far as, I don't know. I hate thinking that all governments think that way, but if this were if e-liquid and e-cigarettes were cutting into that profit of that other product, but the snoots, would you think they would vote? Would they be just like anybody else and try to ban it? That's what I was thinking. But then when I saw such low smoking rates there, due to this product,
yeah, well. The key was that the UK, when they were part of Brexit, they were the ones that actually stopped the sale of it, and so there's certain countries in the EU that you can't get it, but the market over there for it, it's huge.
It's huge, yeah.
It's not a small market, but even Nick was saying the other day he was messing around with it while he was in Germany.
Oh wow!
And he said, yeah, this stuff's really good. It's
I was trying to go ahead, keep talking, because I just lost what I had something really good to ask you too. I just totally forgot it.
I personally think, and after listening to the GFN, that this product should be rolled out into countries like lower socioeconomic instead of what they're trying to do and ban whatever.
Yeah,
we know that the tobacco companies are involved in it. Why not allow them to sell this product and slowly move away from combustibles. But then again, you've got the two big players. You've got China Tobacco, and you've got India. Both of those governments both own huge shares in the tobacco industry. They don't want to see their market fall by the wayside. And I would rather it... Hello? And I would rather see it go the other way.
Yeah.
And snus, in my eyes, is harm reduction. And you speak to any of the guys that are involved in that realm, they'll all say the same thing. It's not a combustible. So what if you want to use nicotine?
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I notice is really difficult for the transition from chewing to vaping. I think that's one of the hardest ones to get to convert. Like I have Mike that does the Friday. He vapes, but he still chews. He just can't stop chewing, and it's just a weird thing. I mean, I have not converted one chewer to e-cigarettes. Full transition from no more chewing tobacco.
I think because it's sort of a different activity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, smoking is more hand to mouth, it's busy stuff, and then chewing is just sort of like it's there, and then you kind of just sort of get the nicotine release. So I think in the sense of the word, Mike doesn't appear to be a smoker. Or was a smoker.
Well, he was a smoker and a chewer. He was both.
Oof, both. Wow.
Yeah, he was both. When he couldn't smoke, he dipped.
Yeah.
And when he couldn't dip, he smoked. So it was just, but I got him to stop smoking cigarettes. Mike hasn't had a cigarette in forever, but I still occasionally see him, especially if we're in the house watching a game, he knows he could put a dip in and grab a bottle and just spit in this bottle instead of going outside to vape. So
right. I don't know. I mean, in the grander scheme of things, I mean, the risk here is that, smoking, does massive damage to the lungs, and then it's more internalized, where dipping is typically localized, right? So rather, it's a tobacco product, can cause cancer of the mouth or the tongue or something like that. But again, I just think that maybe it's a mental block where it's like it's not quite the same thing, because nobody thinks anything is going to go wrong until something goes wrong, right?
Yeah.
So, if you're, I've seen pictures of people who were religious dippers, and they've got these massive holes in their mouth and stuff. And they were just rotted away from the tobacco, just eating into their gums and their teeth and their cheek and all this other stuff. And so I guess, in the grander scheme of things, maybe it's just because it's that type of activity, it doesn't translate to vaping to give you the same kind of satisfaction.
You don't have that hand to mouth, whatever you want to call it.
Well, no, but I'm saying, but your body is absorbing the nicotine, through the gum, and it's just getting right into your bloodstream, and it's giving you your buzz. So
and you can leave it in there for shit. I've seen some guys leave a dip in there for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it never interested me. I tried it a couple times, and it was disgusting, and I always swallowed, and it was gnarly. So so forget it. I'm not going to do dips or any of that stuff.
I started chewing my sophomore year of high school, and it was always either Copenhagen or skull patches when they came out, because a skull patch I could stick inside my mouthpiece and hide it from the coach during football practice, and I was able to get my nicotine during football, so because we couldn't smoke, so we just we get these pouches. Hey, Mr. Nick Orlando in the house.
Mallory had a good point. Maybe maybe if you could get your hands on snus, you could convert Mike from a traditional tobacco dipper into a snus dipper.
Well, that's the thing. So, Paul, isn't it? If you're sticking that pouch in your mouth, isn't that just the same equivalence of a dip, or is it a different process of chewing tobacco and?
It's a different process as to the release of it, because with chew it's still tobacco and it's still floating around your mouth.
Yeah.
That's the difference between it. I've seen guys that chew, their teeth are stained and things like that because they don't take care of what's going on.
Yeah.
But with pouches, it's a very clean
But
clean
it's
delivery
snus
system.
tobacco.
Yeah, the pouches do have tobacco in them. Yes, but there's other variants now that they're using as the medium. But some of them do have tobacco in them. But others have now.
So what's the
other mediums.
the harm reduction is the fact that it's in the pouch?
Correct. There's no combustion. You're still getting the nicotine. A lot of the other chemicals that are found, they're not present. But
And do you know what each pouch would be equivalent to milliliters of e-liquid? Do you guys know? You know any of that or no?
there's variance on the strengths of snus. There's I'll break it down simply. There's low, medium, and high. So
that's what I saw, medium and high.
range.
What's that equivalent to? Hey, Tim,
Probably-
pull another
okay.
can up again. Pull a can up, see if this shows it on the can too.
Probably, I think it says on there what the milligram is, but what was the highest? I was always using the strong lily, extra strong, if I was traveling.
Extra strong?
Yeah. Well, that to me was like smoking like a roll.
Oh, yeah.
Not a tailor-made cigarette.
Yeah.
But they're pretty much around the same as like a 12 to 16 milligram cigarette.
Okay.
For the most part. But anyone that uses rolling tobacco,
I'm trying to find something that sort of lays that
it should
out.
be right on the can, right?
Well, doesn't Velo have a website we can go to? Here's Velo.
Yeah, each of the pouches.
They're hiding it, Tim. They're hiding that info.
Create an account. Yeah.
Oh, they want to. Yeah, everyone's doing that now. I noticed.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, Mallory's right. Package each of the little.
Oh, okay.
Some of them are 2 milligram, 4 milligram, 6, 8, and they keep going up in strength. But where's the level of nicotine? There. What's the level of nicotine in Velo? There it is.
Where do you? Oh, here. Okay. 3 different strengths: 2, 4, and 7.
Oh,
yeah.
7 milligrams.
Yeah, per pouch. But it's the delivery system.
Right. It's the way it's delivered through your gums and into your bloodstream a lot quicker. Yeah. So that 7's probably more like I don't know, an 18.
Oh yeah, but a lot of people just don't use one pouch. They'll normally put 2. You know.
Yeah. On each side.
Oh.
I'm getting on this fucking plane. It's just like that guy with the gum you saw when you were getting on the plane that you knew was a smoker, and he's just popping fucking Nicorette gum.
And then by the end of the flight, they're like this.
Yeah. They're yelling at the hostess or whatever they call them today. I don't know what they call them today.
It's like Cornholio at the end of the day, running around at the end of the plane.
I need some TP for my bungle. I know. I remember those guys. I remember those guys really well. Well, I'm glad Sweden has taken the initiative and keeping flavors available to their for harm reduction for their public. So it was sad because when I was reading that article as well, it started talking about other states and stuff like that, or other countries that have banned it already, and you start going through that list, and that kind of it's going to be something we're going to talk about a little bit later. It's like 5 things that I think everybody outside of the bubble should know or should be asking, the questions they should be asking when it comes to e-cigarettes and e-liquid. Let's talk about the FDA. Now, I didn't see this. I don't know if this is supposed to be likelihood of being passed today, but I didn't see anything, so I'm assuming it didn't get passed, right? The FDA banning Juul e-cigarettes in the U.S.
Well, they MDO'd them. They MDO'd them.
They MDO'd them.
Yeah. Well, there's chatter running around now that the FDA is poised to pull Juul e-cigarettes off the market.
Off the market.
Yeah. as early as today, after controversy, when they intentionally marketed to teens who started vaping. There's bits around like that. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to figure out exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. It says health advocate groups like American Heart Association, American Lung Association, the American Academy has lobbied the FDA to bar Juul from selling their products. The agency has cleared the way for Juul's biggest rival, which is Reynolds America Inc. and Enjoy Holding Inc. To keep tobacco-flavored e-cigarettes on the market. So a lot of people are suggesting or thinking that this is, a little bit of a payout from R.J. Reynolds. Go ahead.
No, I think it's more a little bit of bait and switch at the moment. I think that also Juul's still in court at the moment with another hearing, and I was reading the paper that Greg Connolly put up, and I thought they've debunked just about everything that came from the science side of things, and I thought, okay, this is good to see. But on the other hand, why didn't they start going down this pathway earlier in their court cases? But look, I'm not going to say yes or no, but Juul does have its place in the market.
Yeah.
Okay, it really does. All disposables have their place in the market. They're the simplest thing to convert a smoker away from combustibles into a safer alternative. That's how I see it. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Absolutely bottom line. That's how I see it. And by doing this, they're going to create, well, between the United States and Australia and India, it's a massive black market that's going on out there.
Yeah, they talked about that in one of the articles that it was actually Barstool Sports, which surprised the fuck out of me that they actually took the time to write a vaping article. But he talked about the dangers of them wiping them off the market now, and the reason being is now we had a product that was being made here in the U.S., the e-liquid itself, that was made here in the U.S., which is now going to be manufactured throughout other countries. But as like you have said, you've talked about it before, Paul, that some of the e-liquids that are coming out of China and some other places are as good, if not better, than some of the manufacturers here in the United States, right?
Well, China's put huge amounts of money into liquid manufacturing and development of flavors, but first and foremost, if you've got shitty concentrates, you're going to end up with shitty liquids.
Yeah.
China went above and beyond, and I've been trying some disposables recently, and I'll tell you right now, the flavor that's in them is absolutely on point. And I've not tried, well, anything equivalent, like single flavor, unless I was to make it myself.
Yeah.
And it'd be a selection of the same flavors put together to create just a single, say, apple for argument's sake. But they've done it, bang, and it's on point.
I put the Barstool link in there too as well, in both Facebook chat and the other one, YouTube. Yeah, no, I mean.
I'll tell you a reason why they've done that article. And this is out the back of my head at the moment, because a lot of sports people are using vaping products now instead of smoking cigarettes like they used to. Ball players, I know, they're all in the dip, or they used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
You've got people now using vaping products. They need the nicotine.
Yeah.
Concentration, performance, it works.
Yeah.
It's still not banned, my understanding, as a drug in sport, like nicotine isn't, and so it shouldn't be. It works.
Yeah, I mean, Barstool is known for having, they cater to the college scene and the younger demographic. So the article was basically talking about his experience with the product and how he felt. And I'm going to read some of the things that he wrote in this article. Let me see if I can get it to come up, which kind of bothered me, a little bit, because it was just like, well, first off, he talked about the sleek design of the Juul and how it kind of, and I've heard this before, and I think we've all said it, that the Apple-esque look of the Juul product, it was almost, you know what I mean? That minimalist look, that Apple look, it was sleek, it was thin.
Well, you could also say that about the IQOS, and the IQOS stores that in Japan. If you have a look at some of the IQOS stores, oh my God, it's like you're walking into an Apple shop.
Well, everyone is trying to get that out. Even Microsoft attempted the Microsoft store, the Apple experience with the Microsoft product.
Okay, it's all well and good that you try and take their business model, but I still don't like a lot of the things that Apple do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, don't start an Android Apple debate here.
No. We can go into computing as well, right?
Yeah.
But look, sure, some of their products are good. Their hardware is so well designed, it's not funny. And if you pull apart like a Mac, it's pretty cool when you look inside. It's all really well laid out.
Yeah, it's well designed. It's well designed.
But that's where it ends for me with Mac.
Yeah. Well, for me, this Barstool Sports article was just pretty much a hit piece, because there was nothing positive about this whole article whatsoever in here. He talks about in 2015, high school bathrooms across America, people were selling Juul hits for $5 a pop. I doubt that anybody was paying $5 a pop to hit one Juul. I doubt that seriously. Maybe a different product, maybe a THC thing, but I don't think kids were paying $5 to hit a Juul.
I heard that what kids were doing is they were going out and buying Universal empty pods and filling them with liquid and selling those for $5. So I think he's got his information mixed up, and doesn't really know what he's talking about.
Yep. Did you get a chance to look through that article, Tim, or would you read it?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, no, and then it to me it was just a big hit piece. It was just, and they made fun of the fact that who was the first one on the Barstool team to try the Juul and how he got hooked on it, and let me see what else was here.
But you know what? Here's my problem with Juul. Here's my problem with all these people that talk about Juul, and these people that, like you just said, they were like challenging each other or betting to see who was going to be the first one to get hooked on it. I think what the problem is with Juul, it's like, okay, let's say you're not a smoker, but you're hanging out with your buddies and you're having a couple beers and you're like, hey man, let me have a drag on that thing just to see what it's like. I kind of feel like with half these people that talk about it and really can only identify with one device, and that's Juul, is these people were never smokers, they were never vapors, they were never people that partook in that sort of thing, and they were like sitting there having a couple beers, and they were like, hey man, let me try that thing, and they got cranked up on 50 milligram Nick salt, and then in the end they ended up getting hooked on it because they were putting something into their system that they just weren't used to putting in their system in the first place.
Right.
So that's where I take issue with, sort of the sensationalism around the majority of influencers or large publications or people in like Barstool who want to rant on and on about Juul. That no one talks about what Juul was really meant for.
Right.
Nobody talks about the fact that it's harm reduction, that it's getting people to quit smoking. No, we're just talking about people who found a over-the-counter crutch that didn't taste like a fucking cigarette, wasn't disgusting, it had a great flavor and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden they're all cranked up on nicotine, and then of course it's the ire of everybody because it's people like that were using the device for fun effectively and ended up getting hooked on it.
Yeah. Well, I think too. I mean, a large part of it, I think, was the college student. I think if Juul would have been a product that never kind of transitioned into the college student, I don't think the teenager would have been drawn to it whatsoever. Because let's be honest, what Dad's doing 95% of the time, I don't want to do what Dad's doing. But I think that push that college students, and I you know, I mean, everyone's done something kind of off in college, but I mean, you know, no dose. Everybody has used no dose in college. I mean, to stay awake to finish a term paper, you know. So to me, it just seems like if it would have never gotten into that college, and I don't know what they would have. They would have guessed they would use it to stay awake as well. I guess nicotine, 50 milligrams. Well, yeah, you'd pump your adrenaline.
It doesn't. It doesn't. The half-life of nicotine in a vape, in comparison to taking a handful of Adderall or like dexamphetamine and things like that we used to use when we were in university. Yeah, completely different.
Yeah. I want to tell you the thing I know, people who, where is that? Let me find that little piece of there. It says that, did Juul need to be banned? Yes, but it should have never been allowed to go to the market. Now, see, that sentence right there alone, to me, it's just like, okay, you're not a smoker. You've never been a smoker. You just tried it, like Tim is saying, to see what the big hype was about it. Yeah. You ended up getting addicted to it, right? So obviously, you know, your opinion on why this product should never be on the market you can't justify that because you've never been a 2-pack a day smoker for 20 years or 5 years or 10 years. The evil was there from the beginning. I almost believe it was population curbing method. I guess that's how you say it. I wouldn't see the real impacts of Juul until we are grandparents, which makes, you know, okay, you're not a scientist, so all right, whatever.
Wow, that's a reach.
Yeah, that's a reach. Yeah, it would most likely be a blood cancer due to the metals inside the cartridges. That's what I'm talking.
Who is this talking?
This is the guy at Barstool Sports. This is let me see who the guy's name is. Billy Football.
Really?
I'm not shitting.
Hang on. We're meant to take some idiot by the name of Billy Football.
Billy Football said it, man.
Fuck me. Really?
Billy Football. That is the guy that wrote the article from what I can. Yeah, 622.
Billy Football, if you're listening or we can get in touch with you, we would love to have you on the show.
Yeah, I would love to get that guy.
We will educate you, okay? Yeah. We will speak your language. Education.
Yeah. I don't think lung cancer rates will be as high, personally. It isn't as harsh as cigarette smoke. And then he writes, I tried really hard to make an editor's note, but when Billy Patton pretends to be a doctor, it makes me laugh because he's 100% positive in everything he says. And then he talks about, you know, the fact that now that they were going to ban Juul, that there's, you know, with so many disposables out there in the market right now, there's a likelihood of getting a more inferior product now available to the market now because Juul was a product made in the U.S. used Billy Football. Yeah, I know. I laugh just saying that name. That's one of those high end bloggers. Gotta be one of those big time bloggers. Tim, you're muted.
Those names are just sort of gimmicky to get people interested to listen to what these nimrods have to say. But I mean, this guy's talking out of his ass. He doesn't know. That's what I'm saying is he wasn't a smoker. He wasn't trying to use it to help himself. He was doing it for fun, and then he ended up turning into a habit.
Yep.
So you know now he's got to try to, I guess, somehow demonize it for himself to make it seem worse than it is, so he'll quit doing it. I don't know. It just sounds like a crock of shit to me.
Yeah, and this is a funny paragraph in his blog or whatever you want to call it. The thing is now, I don't know how he writes it. The thing is, I now know people who are quitting the Juul by smoking cigarettes. It's the wildest. But crazy. The Juul was so effective at getting people nicotine that people needed to find ways to get that nicotine back. So he's saying, you know, that a lot of people ended up going back to cigarettes, or they were never smokers in the first place. They started using the Juul, and now they're finding themselves smoking cigarettes. And he has no stats, no statistics, no nothing in here. But he writes, you could hit the Juul while doing anything, working, eating, drinking, reading, blogging. There was no stopping it.
He's missed a few there. I could name quite a few more, pastimes that you can use a Juul with.
I Juul while having sex all the time, man.
Oh, jeez. I didn't go there. You did.
That's an image I'm trying to erase from my mind real
thanks,
quick.
man.
There should be a hashtag for that.
Oh, no. Thanks for that. That image just got burnt into my head.
Yeah. Hey, did you see my old face? No, I'm just kidding. This is what I mean. But see, now you got to keep in mind Barstool's, I don't know, their grasp of readers that they have out there. I mean, Barstool's huge. Barstool is huge. So they're, I'm just going to guess a couple 100,000 read this article already, I'm sure, because this was just put out today. He decided to post this today at 10:30 this morning, for obvious reasons, because he probably saw the Juul sexting. Hashtag Juul sexting.
You started this shit.
Yeah, so I'm sure he posted this article, or he whipped it together just when he saw that FDA ban article from the Wall Street Journal, and he figured, well, you know what? I might as well go ahead and put this out there now. And see what I get out of it. I didn't click on I didn't even notice that down there. There is an actual comment section. Let me see if it lets me see it.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
The Juul needed to be, all right. Well, it looks like, let's see here. Should I go ahead? No, I don't want to give them any credit on our show.
No,
I really don't. It's a lot of negative. Put it that way. The link to the copy here. I'm going to put it out there again. Hey guys, get out there and go to not now. Wait until after the show's done. Head on over to that link and read some of the comments on there and maybe put something in there of your own. Help. Can I say help, Juul? Help us, help you, help save Juul. Oh yeah, no. There's I don't even want to read any of these. I don't want to read any of them. I would love to put them on the screen, but I think we'd get into a little bit of trouble with that, with copyright bullshit. So I'm not going to stay away from. What did you write? Hashtag top that mango.
Tap that mango.
Oh God, no.
Oh well, no. I'm not the bad one in here. You got to read some of these other comments. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
So what does it all mean, though? Like, I mean, what? So they're going to pull Juul, and so they've gone ahead and already approved They've given MGOs to other devices, pod style devices. The Enjoys and the other ones. What the other company was, I can't think of it right now. So I'm shocked that Juul is getting an MDO just because they've got so much money behind them.
Yeah.
That's from where I'm sitting. It's like a power play from within inside the FDA. Something's going on that we've missed.
Yeah.
But this then gives them the opportunity to litigate and then go back. If it's an MDO, it's only marketing denial order. Yeah. You can go back and fix the issues that are in that, and then you can resubmit. Trust me, they've got the money to do it. And
apparently they've already filed an appeal.
Yeah, they filed an appeal. Well, to me, you look at this, and the first thing you think of is, did Juul comply? And they complied since day one. Let's be honest. They pulled their flavors. They changed a few things. They tried to do the Bluetooth thing. They tried to comply. They changed their advertising. They did everything they were supposed to do. Yeah. But yet, and then that's the sad part, because let's be honest, a majority the e-liquid manufacturers out there were banking on the fact that Juul would be one of the first.
Well, reading what they're going through now on the scientific side of it, and what the Ninth Circuit Court actually put out there, and they didn't actually, well, it was the government side or the FDA side. They were the ones that didn't show the real science. They were just cherry picking.
Yeah.
And now, if they win that appeal or that case, and I'm not sure when it's slated for on the docket, but that should be very, very interesting. If they win that, they could go back and overturn what the MDO says, because that then proves that they've done all the testing and all the back end of it.
Right.
But they had done a bucket load of testing.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. And okay, their testing actually even started before they put the product on the market, and that's where it all.
That's right, Michael. Views.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's.
Do you think? You think? Let's remember where Juul comes from. These were two business guys. They weren't vapors. They weren't smokers. This was just something they saw a niche, and they went for it. Do you think it'd be different if it were? If they were smokers? I mean, their intention was profit. Now, I think that's what a lot of people took into it. I don't think there was I don't know. I'm going to not pretend like I know what their plan was, but I'm sure everybody goes into business to make money. But to me, we seen two guys, right? I think it's two guys.
Yeah, but it was a tech startup that was a breakaway from a heated cannabis device from that same company originally. So I'll look that up. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but
was it PAX?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Originally, one of the guys was with PAX, and it was a tech breakaway from PAX. Then Juul went on to get patents for benzoic acid for their formulations for the nic salts. They went on and did that. They've got patents for all of their work, even before they brought the product to market.
Yeah.
So I'm missing something here as to why they were given an MDO when they'd already gone through the whole patent process.
Yeah.
And they'd done all the testing and all the development for even the nicotine, as far into the nicotine. So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, they did pull before the man. I mean, I mean, to me, it's just, all right. And when that product came out and it started to take off, the initial hate from the community was, these guys aren't us. And that was the push. I remember that clearly when it first came out. And I didn't see a lot of, I see a lot of hand checks in the Zamble Box page, but I didn't see hand checks with Juuls. But I mean, the hate was there from the community. They're like, this isn't our product. This isn't what we're about. Everything was the open system at that time. Here comes Juul. All of a sudden, we see 25% of the shares, 35, 45, to where they got. Well, I think what was their highest? Like 75% market share.
I think early on they were around 70. Now they're down to around 40.
Yeah, John. Yeah, because that now belongs to what do you call it? Puff Bar, right?
Puff Bar kind of made
the Kings.
Yeah,
the Kings. And I want to bring back something you were talking about, Paul, about the quality of vapor, the e-liquids and the flavors from coming out of China. And I'm going to be honest with you, don't shit on me, everybody out there, but that little Foom thing, that little thing I had, I talked to a lot of people that own that product, and my daughter buys that product now as well because she doesn't want to have to deal with, she's got little ones. And she doesn't want to have e-liquid in her bag just in case the kids get in there and stuff like that. So she switched over to that one and uses that one. And she raves about the flavors on there. The flavors are spot on point. And I do too. I mean, what is it? The strawberry mango one that I use? Oh, here it is. What is this? Fruity Hawaiian. The Fruity Hawaiian. These guys. This is what I'm talking about, guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if the e-liquid's that bad, I'm not tasting it because that is just banging e-liquid, and it works.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You've got a couple of the big flavor manufacturers in China, one being Hang Seng, that has been around ever since Adam was a boy in the vaping industry. They created a lot of the flavors for the disposable market. Then you have the other flavor houses that are in China. A lot of them, they fall under the biological type system. That's within their name. They're creating flavors, and they are absolutely on point as well. The thing is that all of the flavors that they're creating are actually TPD compliant. None of these flavors are showing up with any of the nasties from the early days. It's when it loot boxes hard as they go after vaping. Okay. But this is the thing. China is doing the right thing on some points. The flavors are good. I'm not going to dispute that. The part that I'm still not at home with, a lot of these are overcooled. If they weren't so overcooled, or they brought out other flavors, and now we're finally starting to see milks and custards that are now transitioning into pod systems, which wasn't really a doable thing a while back. But now it is. Now it's becoming an option. It's becoming a big option now, and I like that. And that they've moved away from traditional coils in these pods, and they're working with mesh.
Yeah.
And they are standing up to what they're being put through.
Yeah, this thing is friggin' amazing. This thing is, I mean, some of the best flavors I've had is from these stupid little things right here that last
it's
3
bizarre,
days.
Isn't it? It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
As I said, the technology wasn't there 2 years ago.
Yeah. And I mean, there's not much to it. I've ripped these things open. It's just a big, huge cotton ball soaked in e-liquid. That's it. That's it. I mean, it's just drenched. I took brand new one apart. I said, okay, I got to see what this looks like brand new before I even take a hit out of it. And I broke it apart, and that thing is just literally it's just a big ball of cotton in there, just completely saturated with e-liquid, and a coil right down the middle of it, just absorbing, from the inside out. I guess that's right.
Yeah. Dean, the thing is with that, okay, and the TPD, the problem there was that they were set at the 20 milligram mark. Okay, they weren't good enough. But if the TPD could be changed, and hopefully it will in TPD 2.0, hopefully then the restrictions on the 2 mil restriction will disappear. You'll be able to go to 50, 40, 30, 20 milligram, a step down system. I'd love to see that right throughout Europe. Yep. I would love to see that.
I was wondering that, Dean. I was wondering. I assumed that Juul would be huge in England, in the UK.
No, because of the 20 milligram cap.
Oh, that's
right.
Yeah,
but I thought they made Juuls in different strengths.
They do, but they're not available. The 20 milligrams available there, and the rest of it's all illegal. They're bringing it in. Like, the consumers are bringing the over 20 milligram in themselves. But yeah, there's different. I saw something
because you don't hear about
36 milligram.
You don't hear about disposables in the UK. I mean, I know there's a lot out there, but I don't see any articles or anybody bitching about having them out there.
No, you do now. There's a lot of chatter going on now about the trash that they're leaving behind. They're just throwing their disposables everywhere, and streets that never saw them before. Yeah, was taken off the market in the UK due to kids getting them. I didn't know that part. I thought they were still sold in the UK.
I mean, I don't know how it works there. I mean, Juul, are the disposables available at C stores in the UK, or you still have to go to a vape shop?
No, no, disposables are popping up everywhere in the UK as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there are regulations because I've all I've ever seen were pictures of vape shops in the UK.
Yeah.
I've never seen like a convenience store with with disposables there. I assume they do have them, but I never seen them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's the same as what Bogan said to me. I spoke to him while he was in the UK, and he said the whole show was just disposables. For the
I guess
most
it's
part.
easier to sample juice, right? Just hand them a free disposable.
Yeah, point taken. But yeah, there you are.
Oh wow, shit, they do.
Yeah. It's big. It is big.
And I wonder, is it? Well, I'm assuming they have the same issues there as we do here with them. Convenience stores selling to minors. Or the same difference, a parent buying for a minor.
Well, yes,
because these are stories I don't see. I mean, Tim does the advocacy news. Have you seen articles about complaints on disposables in England or even children getting disposables? I don't see any of those anywhere.
I mean, I've heard people talk about the kids getting them, but I haven't seen any specific. I know that in several articles it had stated that Juul was not the most popular choice with kids.
Yeah.
That it was disposables that the kids were now getting, and you were seeing more and more and more of that. That Puff Bar had kind of supplanted Juul.
Yeah. Even thinner. Puff Bar.
Well, I just say, it's
I'm
a
sorry,
lot easier.
Bar.
You just buy the whole thing and you vape it till it's gone, and then you throw it away and you're done. You don't have to keep replenishing pods or anything like that. You just go get whatever flavors you want, or get somebody to get you the flavors you want, and you're on your way.
Yeah, Puff Bar is the biggest scam out there. I mean, I've not had any good quality, and it just depends from one device to another. Whether you get a half a day, sometimes not even that. And I that's why I tried to buy 3 or 4 of them, and then what I did is I went to one part of town, I bought one, and then I bought another one, and then someone taught me how to look for clones and fake ones, because that's what I thought was going on. I was getting fake ones that were dying within a half a day, and then getting a legit one that would last me a day. But I don't think I ever got more than a day out of one of those Puff Bar, those whatever they want to call them, those thin Juul like device.
Yeah.
With your fancy colors, not just fancy fruit flavors, but fancy colors as well. You get them pink, purple, yellow, green. Damn you colors.
Well,
Pin Dean's last comment.
Yeah. That's the reason that I heard as well. And that's what they were saying at GFN as well. They were saying, well, it is an issue, and
someone will fight for disposable boxes throughout the UK.
No, disposables have their place in the market. Simple as that, for convenience. Okay, but I personally think that there should be some type of system put into play that you drop off your empty ones, like in a bin or whatever.
A deposit, a can of soda.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're brilliant. 100%. You're brilliant. Even Taco Bell does it now. I was joking a few weeks ago that Taco Bell should have some sort of recycling center for their Taco Bell bags, and they have an actual recycling thing for their little bags, their little hot sauce bags, unused. You can bring them back and they recycle the bag. So if Taco Bell can do it, e-cigarette manufacturers can do it. God damn it.
I don't even want to think about that. Taco Bell's bad to start with, but
you think? I mean, think about all those little plastic bags just all over the place, man. So now they're saying, "Hey, we're going to help. We're going to help the environment. Bring your used or unused Taco Bell hot sauce package back to Taco Bell, and they'll recycle them."
Well, I've been to a few parties, and there's lots of plastic bags left at the end of the night.
That's brilliant. brilliant. No, but I think they should have some sort of recycling fee on these disposables. I think it would change, especially if you're going to get some sort of a discount back. Hey, bring this back.
Yeah.
You get 50 cents off your next one, or you have to make it to the point where it's actually something somebody wants to do. I think 50 cents is a pretty good number for.
Sure, but I love the disposable pod.
Yeah.
But not the device. I want the device to be there. I don't care if you dispose the pod, or it's a changeable coil, right? But that's too much. If it's a fixed coil, so be it. But there should also be the option there that you can change the coil out in these things.
Yeah.
Get longevity out of it.
Well, I have the other article, guys, I'm going to put up real quick here, and it was from the WHO. The WHO? That's who.
Oh, here we go.
Let me post it on both things here so everybody has it.
My favorite topic. The WHO.
Your favorite people, man. Your favorite people actually said some good things for once and some bad things. The World Health Organization, the WHO, pointed out that there is growing evidence, Paul, growing evidence that vaping is not harmless. Dr. Michael Joseph, I don't even know how you say his last name, Blaha, Blaha, assured that there is almost no doubt that vaping exposure exposes you to fewer toxic chemicals than smoking traditional cigarettes. However, nicotine in cigarettes raises a person's blood pressure and spikes their adrenaline. It said here, let me read the rest of it. As such, adrenaline increases a person's heart rate and the likelihood of having a heart attack. Emerging data suggests that links to chronic lung disease and asthma, it says Dr. Bahala. Your thoughts, Paul?
I'll take that with a grain of salt.
Are you surprised that he at least admitted that vaping is less harmful than smoking
correct.
a cigarette?
Yeah, correct. But okay, who does he work for? That for a start, I'd like to know.
Yeah,
that.
I never heard of that guy's name before. Did you look him up? Michael Joseph, Dr. Michael Joseph.
Yeah, I'm just looking at.
I don't know how. Did I say that right?
By the sounds of it, you have.
I need my my grammar spelling police Nazi. Tim. So does coffee. Thank you. Exactly where I was going with this article. So does coffee. So does Red Bull. So does Monster. So does any other energy drink out there. One of my favorite energy drinks of all time came from Paul's neck of the woods, and it had two bulls on it.
Which one?
It was I don't remember the name of it, but we used to have it here, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared. I don't know if Red Bull just bought them out.
Oh, no, that was the Malaysian Red Bull.
Is that from Malaysia?
Yeah, it had two bulls.
That shit was bombing, man. Woo.
Well, that shit. Yeah. No comment to that one. That was the one that was banned here because it had such high levels of everything else.
Yeah, that shit worked good, man.
What do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that he actually even said what he did say about vaping. Yes, vaping is less harmful, but there's always a but at the end of those sentences. Tim, did I say this guy's last name right? Blaha? Bahala? I don't know. Fuck. You're muted. I'm going to get you a new microphone.
No, I muted on purpose. What was spell it again?
Blaha.
Blaha.
Blaha. Blaha. Michael Joseph Blaha.
And that was based on his own studies?
Yeah. He says the I don't know if you heard it, but he said he's with the World Health Organization, and he says assured that there are almost no doubt that vaping exposes you to fewer toxic chemicals than smoking traditional cigarettes. However, nicotine in e-cigarettes raises a person's blood pressure and spikes adrenaline. As such, adrenaline increases a person's heart rate and in the likelihood of having a heart attack. Emerging data suggests links to chronic lung disease and asthma, says Dr. Blaha. I mean, it wrote what's pointed out. I mean, there's so many other things out there that do the same thing, but you don't see any push for anybody trying to knock out half the energy drinks out there. What else? What else pumps your adrenaline? Is chocolate associated with your adrenaline in any way?
No, I mean I mean, most doctors will say it's healthy to eat a little bit of chocolate.
Yeah.
Every once in a while. All things in moderation, right? Again, we don't. What was he testing? We don't know what he was testing. We don't know what the medium was. We don't know what the device was he was testing on. Was he actually doing blood tests on people who have been vapors for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? I mean, there's probably a lot of things you can say about nicotine, and in that regard, I mean, is he talking about 50 milligram? Closed pod systems, that are chain vaped. I mean, we don't know what the parameters are, other than him just making these statements that, oh, well, there's a percentage or of possibility that you could contract these things because of the types of exposure that you're receiving. We never get to see what the actual test was.
No data ever.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry
This
to
is
burst
an
bubble people, but this gentleman, Joseph,
got it. You found it.
Yeah, Blaha. Yeah, I found out who he works for now.
All right.
Cicerone Center for Prevention of Cardiovascular, professor of medicine, and he looks like he's still wet behind the ears. He looks very young, and associate professor of cardiology and epidemiology. Director of clinical research for the Johns Hopkins Center. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Bloomberg funded yet again.
Bloomberg funded, yeah.
Unbelievable. He's went to Vanderbilt in 2006, MD, clinical epidemiology and biostatistics, internal medical residency, Osler, house staff training at Hopkins in 2009 before completing a fellowship in cardiology in 2012. So, 10 years. Not for me as any form, you've got to have at least 20 years behind you before it's taken deadly serious.
And this is a peer-reviewed study?
Yeah, this was this was a UK article out of express.com or is express.co.uk.
Okay, but he's going down a pathway here. Your local stop smoking service and all the other rubbish. And if you'd like any additional support to overcome nicotine addiction, contact your doctor's surgery.
Yeah, that's at the end of the article. That he's got to push. He's got to push for medical.
Yeah.
John, the NHS supports vaping in the UK.
Yeah, correct.
I don't put a lot of weight into these studies when we don't really know the details of the study.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. They don't want to put out a boring article that no one's going to read with a bunch of data and numbers. But you would think what's happening is necessary. Those types of articles need to be written. What did you do? I mean, at least have a link that takes you to a PDF file that goes through the breakdown. If someone really wants to get into that information, and granted, probably 99.9% of us aren't going to understand any of those PDAs, or PDF files or the information in there, but at least it's there for us to go, okay, like Tim is saying, all right, he tested 15 people with 50 milligrams of nic salt. He tested 15 people with, 50 milligrams of freebase salt and whatever. At least we have some sort of a gauge to read and see where he comes up with this information.
I mean, did he do randomized trials where he had some people that weren't vaping at all, some people that were vaping 50, and some people that were vaping 3 and 6? I mean, what were his variations? How did he measure that before and after? On what intervals did he measure it at? Were they actual humans he was doing this test on? Was he pumping vapor into mouse faces? Like what were you doing, dude? Like, how did you actually come to these conclusions? And you never, I mean, they give you a lot of digital, like, data factors. Like, here was the baseline, and then you could see after this that it was, these weird equations and stuff. Like, how is anyone supposed to even understand what that means in layman's terms?
Right.
We don't know. That's why I say, like, I feel like these articles are ignorable at best.
Yeah.
Because they don't give you enough detail to allow you, as someone who doesn't have a degree in epidemiology and went to all these fancy schools and had all this medical training, we're never going to be able to truly understand what he's talking about. And then they just make these blanket statements that, like, oh, well, there's a possibility that this could be a repercussion of vaping. Okay, but at what level does it become a risk? At any level? At the person that's on 3 for a year straight? Or are you talking about the person that's chain vaping a 50 milligram closed pod system, constantly all day long and clears 2 pods out? Like, who are you talking about?
Right. Rogue, I put the link in there if you want to read the article. I'll post it again there in case you got lost.
It's not balanced.
Yeah, it's not.
And when you look at what this guy's into studying, expertise in cardiovascular computed tomography, cardiovascular disease, and preventative cardiology, right? And then primary prevention of heart disease and stroke, advanced subclinical atherosclerosis. And I'm like,
if you can't say the word, just spell it. Tim will get it for you.
No,
Tim, hey, Paul, you know what, Tim?
Atherosclerosis. I can pronounce it. It's
it's coming out of your mouth. Tim is that. Remember that little speech or spelling little toy that we used to grow up with?
Speak and spell.
Speak and spell. That's Tim. We just carry Tim around. He's our speak and spell.
Jeez. I don't know. That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. He's too big. He's got too much hair. He'll get in the way. Yeah.
I love speak and spell. Yeah. That was cool.
I should have played with it a little bit more.
Yeah, but I don't think it was the words Paul's trying to pronounce.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yeah, it wasn't going to have those words in it.
Basic words.
All right, before we get into news, we got about a couple minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes here. I thought this would be kind of something we can do ourselves and maybe put something together for next week. But I was thinking, like, we always talk about people outside our bubble and how we can draw them in and how we can make them better understand some of the science like we were talking about right now, and some questions that we feel they should be asking, not just themselves, but people outside, their congressmen, their senators, their presidents, all that nonsense. So I thought we could put together a list of 5 things that that someone that is outside our bubble should be thinking about when they see these types of articles and see, all this anti-vaping campaigns that are out there, and start to put the numbers together. And I kind of put 5 together, but I you guys can do them as well. And I'm going to post that on the Wednesday Night Live thing, and we can kind of put them all together and just kind of come up with some sort of list of 5 things that we feel that, like I said, someone outside the bubble should be asking, someone, their congressman, their senator, state, city councilman, why is there this big push for e-cigarettes and e-liquids? And I'll go 5 up. Is it really about the kids, or is it about the billions of dollars taken each year by big tobacco, healthcare corporations, and pharmaceutical companies, profits nationwide? I think that's a question I don't understand why the average Joe doesn't see that. You know what I'm saying? You're putting 1 and 1 together and getting 2. When you who's benefiting by this process? Why is there this huge push nationwide, now worldwide, to get rid of e-liquids? And there's I don't understand why people don't ask that question to themselves. Why is there this push? You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. I mean, that seems like an obvious question. I think if if there isn't one person around who doesn't recognize the fact that, not all things are as they seem. I mean, you can look at any issue in the news today. I could name a few, that are hot button topics right now: guns, abortion, everything else that goes along with that, including vaping. And obviously, there's an agenda behind it. And if and one of those three, I guarantee you, will affect the vast majority of the people that walk this globe right now, at least in America, for that matter.
Right.
And if you have not recognized the fact that there's some shady stuff about our government in terms of their motivation or intent behind a particular thing, I think you're just being ignorant. And you're right, But does the average Joe understand that there's a lot of money behind the tobacco industry?
Oh, I think they do understand the money that's behind big tobacco. I think everybody understands that there's big money when it comes to big tobacco as well. But I think, like number 4 for me is why isn't anybody questioning pharmaceutical companies' roles in banning e-cigarettes? And they never come up in conversation other than us in our bubble. But
no, if you have a look on Twitter now, there's quite a number of people going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But that is a very, very, very slippery slope, because you have to go all the way back to the early 90s and the reasoning then.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff back then, and a lot of the companies that are now joined at the hip or conglomerates of what they used to be. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Monsanto is now Bayer. They genetically modified the tobacco plant back then as well. There's GMO tobacco plants. Then you have Dow Corning, or Dow itself, Dow Chemical Group.
Yeah.
They were supplying most of the humectants to the tobacco industry, and humectants meaning PGVG. They were actually supplying those to the tobacco industry and a lot of the base chemicals for the manufacturing of cigarettes. Then you have to look at other chemical companies, one being BASF. People know them for making cassettes. So be it. They are more into the manufacturing of high-end chemicals than what they are into the manufacturing of tape. Okay? That's what they're all about back in the day.
Right.
But these are the things that you've got to get into. And it's Pandora's box when you start going after like all the chemical companies and the pharmaceutical companies. They're all in bed together.
Yeah.
If a pharmaceutical company cannot make part of the process or don't have the refining capability to make a component of a drug, they'll go to a chemical company.
Yeah.
The chemical company then gives them that. The chemical companies also gave and also helped with the ammonia type situation when they modified the cigarettes back in the day as well. It's very, very different.
Yeah.
And it's huge. If you think the tobacco industry's big, you've got no idea how big the pharmaceutical and chemical industry is. They dwarf the tobacco industry.
Right. Right. And I'm glad you're saying people are starting to look into that. But, the average Joe that I talk to that has no clue. They're like, well, why would they care? What do they have to benefit from tobacco and cigarettes? I'm like,
that was my point too, is that there are still a very large majority of people that, I'm just talking for the United States, that believe in and have faith in that the government is doing good things for the benefit of the public. We're a different breed. We understand that there's ulterior motives and other things going on underneath the sheets. My point is that, take my parents, for example. They'll watch the news and stuff like that, and they'll think that, if they see some report that's coming from some government source or something like that, or an interview with someone, that they kind of, to some degree, take that word for gospel. So there are a lot of people who will turn a blind eye to all of the science, whether it be good or bad, and they think that the government is actually doing the right thing by banning these products, but they aren't someone who has a dog in that particular fight. But I can guarantee you that they probably got they're a dog in another fight somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see more and more, and this isn't just about vaping in general. It spans a lot of different topics where the government is effectively trying to take away what people see as their right.
Yeah.
And when they get mad and hot under the collar, they're going to want to try to dive in and try to uncover what the motivation is for that thing being taken away from them.
Right.
And so maybe if they applied that same thought of controversy behind whatever thing is bothering them at that time, they're like, oh, I'm going to lose my gun. Government's being shady about it. They're trying to, hurt the innocent, civilian that isn't a threat. But they want to take my gun. But so what I'm saying is with vaping, then apply that to vaping.
Yeah.
Then you'll understand what's going on. You'll understand that there's some shady shit that's going on. You should question it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I've got something that I want to say about all of this, and a lot of us know who Emily Banks is here in Australia and what she's done and her crusade against vaping. She was also behind the outrageous report that she put together for the government. And sadly, she's been recently wooing the FCTC. Right? Enjoy a recent testimony from English-born Australian epidemiologist Professor Banks. She's seen to confirm exactly what they wish to hear, a dire one-side cherry-picked version of the facts. And then did they call anyone else in to counter what she has gone and done? She's gone and she's having beers with the FC, the Framework Control on Tobacco. And I'm like, really? You're going to listen to that? You won't listen to anyone else in the industry, but you'll take her word and go, ooh. Yeah. And you're getting the same problem now. The FDA, it's fit for purpose in some respects, in some of the things they do, but for tobacco control, they're not fit for purpose. I'm sorry. They lost their way. That's my point.
Yeah. Number 3, why are some of the world's highest smoking rate countries trying to ban e-cigarettes? I don't understand why people don't even look into that. Why is that? Well, obvious. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, the governments have big percentages, 30 and 40% shares in the tobacco companies. Simple as that.
Yep. That's a simple thing. I mean, when you start seeing, the U.S. push, India's push, you see China's push, and you start realizing here we're looking at some of these countries that have the highest smoke rates and are going to lose money when people aren't buying packs of cigarettes.
But here's the question: How much leaf tobacco was still grown in the United States?
Probably not very much anymore.
That's a big question because I think a lot of it is coming. Your leaf tobacco is coming either out of China, India, JAL as well, Japan Tobacco or JAT or whatever it's called. Yeah. They also manufacture and still grow huge amounts of tobacco, but I don't think there's a hell of a lot being grown in the United States anymore from memory. I can remember reading about Carolina farmers getting out of tobacco growing and getting into pig farming and things like that, pigs and chickens like that for the
corn.
But well, that too.
Corn, cotton. Number 2, why would were you going to say something, Paul?
And who pushed that? Yeah. That was the revolving door policy when the head of Monsanto went and worked for the FDA, changed their GMO laws, and then went back as counsel for Monsanto. Hello? That doesn't work.
Yeah. Number 2, why would the world's largest cigarette manufacturer pay $12.8 billion for Juul? I mean, I don't understand why people don't look at that one thing right there. Why would Big Tobacco want to purchase an e-liquid manufacturer company and spend $12.8 billion?
Because they looked at their ROI and they're like, we're going to make some money on this deal, boys. It's hot. Let's get in while the getting's good.
Yep.
They're businessmen. They're probably not even smokers. So.
We've heard that story from the Winston man himself. That's still
Exactly.
that story. I still use that story every time someone brings something up like that. When he talks about hiking up that mountain to do that photo shoot with Winston, and they're all huffing and puffing, and he looks over at the CEO of the company and asks him, why aren't you guys huffing and puffing? And he said, well, we don't smoke this stuff. This is for the, what did he say now? For the poor, the colored.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
But I mean, I honestly
Poor, the
do
black,
believe.
the
Go
unemployed.
ahead.
The poor, the black, the unemployed.
The unemployed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim.
No, I'm just saying they're business deals.
Yeah.
You got a upstart company who's trying to get their feet cemented, and they're like, well, we're big tobacco. We got a shitload of cash. You know, we just want Y. We'll give you X, you give us Y, and we know we're going to make some hand over fist money on this deal.
And
But
number
Dean-
one, yeah, go ahead.
Dean, I want to answer this. Sure, we've hit it on the head with the amount of money that the tobacco companies give to senators, to governments, to everything else, all around the world for that matter. How about you think how much GSK or GlaxoSmithKline, Johnson & Johnson also give to governments, and like the philanthropy on top of that as well. It's not just the tobacco companies anymore. And Mark Gunther's article that's just dropped absolutely blows the doors off everything. Absolutely blows the doors off it. And he also did a speech at GFN. And he's been a reporter for many, many years, and he's deep dived into how all this plays out. And it's mind blowing when you listen to it, you read it, and it's like, whoa, that's hardcore.
And number one, this one gets said a lot, even people outside the bubble. Why doesn't the government just ban cigarettes altogether? That one gets said a lot. I'm gonna that one. That's why it's number one. It does get said. Yeah.
It's the same answer.
Yep.
It's about money. It's about keeping people sick and addicted. I mean, Big Pharma doesn't succeed if they don't have medications and treatments and extremely expensive applications that they can gouge the shit out of the insurance companies and the consumer, right, to get their monies, right? So keep them sick. Keep Big Pharma in business, and Big Tobacco gets to stay in business and sell billions of dollars of cigarettes by paying out against the MSA. So, I mean, it's not rocket science to figure out why.
Yeah. Can you imagine what our co-pays would be if Big Tobacco wasn't there?
Well, I think the insurance companies would still buffer a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that even the insurance companies don't really stand to make any money unless they have a reason to insure people.
Right.
Right. So if you're not insuring anybody, then you're not getting policies and you're not making the revenue. So overall, this is all about cash. It's all about money, and that same cash is also used to keep people who are on their side in power.
Right.
So they use that same money for things like that, and then let's just demonize everything else, while the devil is sitting on the shelf behind the counter at the local QT,
You want to get that library built?
Yeah, really. That's enough to piss you off, isn't it?
Yeah. They never put their names, though, on these libraries and buildings that they're funding. I guess that's a smart move, though, right? This building is paid for by RJ Rental Tobacco Company.
No, because, I mean, they don't want you to know who's paying for it, even though they admit to paying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a nice little tax write-off for them. Oh, we'll give you $40 million for that. Oh,
Yeah. You want?
right that off. Accounting 101.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's just some things I think, I just wonder, Tim has talked about it before, and it's, if you don't have a dog in the fight, a lot of times you don't really give a shit. So, I understand that. And I know that the average Joe doesn't really know about vaping. There's quite a few people. I ran into quite a few people that I still get. Do you guys still get, what is that? From anybody? You still getting that, Tim? When you're vaping, do you still get people to ask you, what is that?
Rarely anymore.
Rarely.
They most of the time now it's sort of situated or rooted in the idea that not what is that, but isn't that bad for you?
Yeah,
Kind of
it's going to
stuff.
kill you. Yeah. All right, we are going to jump into Mr. Tim's news segment, and let me put Tim's bumper on, and here it is.
My goodness. I didn't think I was ever going to get to tap. I'm so exhausted today. It's crazy. I don't have the energy to tap. Y'all get a light-handed tap. All right, so we got a few things to chat about. Give me 1 second. I will bring up the article, or articles, shall I say. All right, so here's another one that share screen. The button's always right in front of me, and I always mess it up. All right. So this is another one that's, I guess, kind of tethered to all the other downward spiral kind of crazy shit that's going on. This is something that sort of fell on the backs of everything else, right? So we have the flavor bans that are going on, and then you heard about, in a lot of cities and towns that they were going to ban menthol cigarettes, and now even the FDA and the federal government is starting to go after menthol cigarettes, and we've talked about that to some degree. So now here's the hot button item that kind of came along a little bit after all of that, and that is that now the Biden administration and the FDA are going to try to plan, or at least come up with a proposal to try to limit the amount of nicotine or create a lower nicotine content cigarette under the guise that they believe that this is going to help curb youth addiction, right? So we'll get into where I think the most controversial comment comes along. But I think everybody's probably seen that this is out in the news. Now, I know this doesn't necessarily directly affect vaping because it's talking about a tobacco product and the thing that we have pretty much removed from our lives. But I think it's important to talk about it just because this is another instance where, it's sort of knee-jerk reaction slash sort of a false prophet kind of ideology as to what they think is going to help try to curb the smoking rates in America. And that's with this whole new lower nicotine cigarette thing. So the Biden administration is taking steps to lower nicotine levels in cigarettes and other combustible tobacco products. So as far as this is concerned, though, analysts have said that all of this is not going to happen tomorrow. This could happen under the Biden administration. We will actually get to see over a period of time whether or not this comes to fruition. A lot of things could change in that time frame. But analysts have stated that effectively that this could take up to a decade before you'd probably see any particular action take place. So that's still a long ways away, right? So it's not going to happen tomorrow, even though they're talking about it now. So on June 21st, just the other day, the FDA said it would develop a proposed product standard to establish a maximum nicotine level within cigarettes. So we kind of know now, I think it sits somewhere around the 24 milligram per stick theory. But who knows what they're gunning for? And I'll address that in a minute. So the main goal of this push to reduce nicotine in cigarettes is to reduce underage tobacco use, addiction, and death. So they think if cigarettes don't have the buzz factor or the addictive component, which they believe fully to be only the nicotine portion, that if kids can't get addicted to it because the nicotine levels are so low, it should reduce underage tobacco use. Addiction is also mentioned, and death, right? So I guess that's a consequence, right? It's a consequential outcome, right? So if kids aren't finding it addictive and they're not as interested in it, then they're not going to develop this long-term addiction to something that inevitably in a combustible format is more likely on a percentage base to kill them than, say, not smoking, which I think is probably provable. So I wanted to read Kayla's comment on the whole thing. He is now the head of the FDA. He said nicotine is powerfully addictive, said FDA Commissioner Robert M. Califf. Making cigarettes and other combusted tobacco products minimally addictive or non-addictive would help save lives. The U.S. Surgeon General has reported that 87% of adult smokers started smoking before age 18. Guilty. And about 2/3 of adult daily smokers began smoking daily by 18 years of age. Lowering nicotine levels to minimally addictive or non-addictive levels would decrease the likelihood that future generations of young people become addicted to cigarettes and help more currently addicted smokers to quit. But that's going to be a pretty drastic transition, right? So if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to take your 24 milligram cigarette and I'm going to convert it to a 6 milligram cigarette, you're going to have a bunch of people fiending out there. I think forcing people into a reduction or a wean off of what they're used to with such a large drop, I don't think is conducive. I don't think that people are going to find that cigarette is as satisfying anymore. And my brain wants to say you're probably going to smoke more to try to keep the nicotine in your system, right? So you're going to you'll have to find a reason to adapt. Conversely, even if North America decides to limit the nicotine content in cigarettes, this is not going to be a global product everywhere. There's going to be other places that are still allowed to and can make full strength cigarettes. And so I imagine you'll see a massive black market open up around this because this won't be satisfying enough to people 10 years in our future, and that they're going to want something that gets them that, you know, that fix that they're used to. So there's that, right? So a paper published in the FDA and the New England Journal of Medicine in 2018 projected that by the year 2100, you do the math, it's 2022, that's about 78 years from now, that this is what they believe is going to be the result, is that the potential nicotine product standard could result in more than 33 million people not becoming regular smokers, a vastly reduced smoking rate in North America down from what is currently 12.5% now, down to 1.4%. And ultimately, it would reduce the overall deaths by 8 million, period. So these are their projections, right? Based on what they think is going to be the potential outcome of this reduced nicotine cigarette plan. Now, we don't know if those are all presumptions based on particular data. Plans for the established new standard comes 1 year after the reports surfaced that the Biden administration was exploring the idea of requiring tobacco companies to lower nicotine to levels no longer addictive. And then I put in parentheses question mark, hypocrisy. And the reason why I did that is because if the tobacco companies are highly aware of a particular nicotine level that can be put into a cigarette that is considered non-addictive, then let's cross-reference that to, say, an average vapor, right? I'm not talking about the 36 to 50 milligram pod vapors, right? I get it, it's low wattage, it's all relativity. But if the federal government stepped forward and said, we're going to reduce them down from 24 milligram to 12 milligram, I'm just throwing a number out there, or 6 milligram. Let's just go with 6 milligram. And they say at 6 milligrams per stick, that is at a level where we can, by science alone, we can say that we are at a non-addictive level of nicotine delivery. Okay, fine. I'll accept your argument, but I'll raise you a vape, because you're still putting into the hands of people who are transitioning from 24 milligram to 6 milligram immediately, or phase it in, however that happens to be. Give people some chance to wean early, if they know it's coming. Other than one day 24s are off the shelf and 6s are replaced with that, then why would you still want to put a combustible tobacco cigarette in that person's hand? Because if there's one argument that it's not as addictive, therefore people can't get addicted to it, what about the idea of the person that's been smoking 1 to 2 packs a day? And you're going to say, okay, well, you should be more inclined to quit now because we're not giving you an addictive level of nicotine, but we're still going to allow you to go ahead and create that combustion. Then why couldn't we say, all right, well then 6 milligram vapes aren't addictive to anybody? Doesn't matter whether it's the flavor, doesn't matter whether it's the delivery method. It doesn't matter if it's an open system, a closed system. If 6 milligram is high enough that it doesn't create an addictive profile, then we should make vapes legal too, because that could also still be tobacco harm reduction and get people away from smoking who are still combusting and doing damage to their lungs. Because I can guarantee you one thing, they can lower the nicotine, but they're not going to take out the chemicals.
No.
And they're not going to change the application.
Or the price.
Or whatever. And there'll still be an MSA, and there'll still be all that other good stuff. But there's a lot to consider here. And then ultimately, like I said, a massive black market is more than likely to explode around this. Just simply because people want what they want. They're like, this 6 milligram fucking cancer stick isn't doing it for me. I need my 24. I want my old Marlboros back. How do I get them shipped into the country from Mexico along with those 5,000 pounds of fentanyl? Do you know what I mean? but my argument is this: is that if that's why I called it hypocrisy, because you're basically almost admitting to the fact that the cigarette companies, big tobacco, can come back with a cigarette that everyone agrees on is non-addictive based on the nicotine level that's in that cigarette. Well, then fine. Then don't ban vapor products that reside at the same milligram level. I don't even think half the people that go after vaping even understand that the grander majority of us who have been vaping for some time have been on nicotine levels far lower than any Juul that sat behind the counter at a convenience store. This proposal also comes 2 months after the FDA announced its intentions to prohibit menthol as a characterizing flavor in cigarettes, and we all kind of know how that kind of plays out, right? Because that affects socioeconomic and racial lines, right, in particular demographics. So, I mean, that's almost a prejudicial sort of ban under the guise that, you know, if you get it away from them, they won't be doing as much harm to themselves. We're going to save the world. We're going to take away the menthol cigarettes. And they also want to prohibit all characterizing flavors in cigars as well. I'm going to guess more, my brain wants to say more like the cigarellos and the smaller stuff like that. I don't know about any big old fatty Havana Cuban cigar that tastes like strawberry. They've all tasted like ass whenever I've smoked a cigar.
I think that's what's written on the box, Tim.
Ass, right? Yeah. It's a Cuban ass stick. Yeah, it's a Cuban ass stick. There you go. The menthol proposal was laid out in April, and there's still open commentary on that particular situation. So you have until July 5th. To go submit open commentary against this particular menthol ban. Sure, yeah, Mowgli.
Yeah, us too, huh, Tim?
I got no problem. Yeah, you want 20 million? We'll go get that from the government.
Dude, the production value of this show would just go crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, we'd be on the International Space Station broadcasting.
SpaceX.
Right. Yeah, SpaceX. So the menthol ban could be up to 5 years out in order to take effect, and that's taking legal litigation into consideration. So you can well imagine that there's going to be a lot of appeals and litigation to say that, you know, you can't do this because of this policy would be this, that, or the other thing. So I wanted to read the final commentary from I don't believe she is a doctor. I think there was two. I guess it was this one down here. So according to Azer, so let's identify who Azer is. I think it did. I thought there was two two quoted segments from this person. Oh, there she is, Vivian Azer. She's the director and senior research analyst at Cowan and Company. According to Azer, menthol regulation could still be 5 years out, taking potential litigation into account. During that time, menthol products would most likely remain on the market. No shocker there. Menthol regulation likely to impact over 30% of the $80 billion cigarette market in the USA. Reduced nicotine policy would impact the entire market, but is likely still a decade out. Importantly, the research of the FDA commissioned on a reduced nicotine policy assumed that there were lower risk nicotine delivery systems available to serve as a viable landing spot for cigarette smokers, i.e. vapor devices. She said, with the FDA still evaluating vapor and with no heat not burn products commercially available in the U.S. today, we expect to see an orderly prioritization of policies to ultimately ready the market and consumers for a meaningful reduction in nicotine levels in combustible cigarettes. So my takeaway in this was just the same as I said before. So the hypocrisy runs wild with this one. They want cigarettes to contain non-addictive levels of nicotine, yet that's not what kills people. Why not determine that level and keep vaping products on the shelves? The policy is reckless at best, I think. I think that they're just they're ill-sighted. I don't think they really even can understand or fathom the impact that has. I mean, when there's already products out there that could help them get people away from cigarettes, that they got to have a 10-year plan to come up with a lower nicotine cigarette. So there's that. This shit just more stuff to tick me off, all right, and then let's do the counter argument on this one. And this was the Consumer Choice Center. They had a symposium, I guess you could call it, and you can actually go watch the video and you can listen to the commentary yourself. Just go to consumerchoicecenter.com and you can watch this full video. And they had sort of a powwow and pulled a bunch of people together to effectively come up with because Consumer Choice Center is an advocacy group, consumer advocacy group, and they brought a bunch of people together, some notable people as well as non-notable people, to come up with ideas on alternatives to a menthol ban. So on June 21st, the Consumer Choice Center Consumer Advocacy Group, based in Washington, D.C., hosted a menthol melee to propose alternatives to the FDA pending bans on flavored cigars and menthol cigarettes. The event featured Gwen Carr, and she is the mother of, if anybody remembers this gentleman, Eric Garner, who died at the hands of police over untaxed cigarettes. He was at the gas station out front selling individual cigarettes to people in the parking lot. Now, he wasn't selling those cigarettes. I don't understand it, to be quite honest, because I don't think we were at a position in that time in our history of America where the necessity for him to do that needed to exist anyway. Okay. Unless you didn't have a lot of money and you were homeless, or you only had a couple bucks in your pocket and not enough to walk in the store and buy a cigarette, you could go ahead and buy a few off this guy. But then we all saw the police video or the surveillance video, and we know the rest of the story. So his mom was there. Also, the event, additionally, nearly a dozen current and former enforcement officers who believe the proposed policy will erode community trust in places where officers patrol the streets. I guess that's in response to the idea is that if you remove menthol, you compromise a particular demographic, and at the same time breed a massive black market where now cops are going to have to go into these particular neighborhoods and arrest a fuck ton of people because they're all selling cigarettes out of the back of their car. They're able to get them in from Mexico or wherever they can get them in from, and it's going to create a hot button black market. So the police are a little nervous about this too, because they got to take otherwise law-abiding citizens and now convert them to criminals because they're buying cigarettes that don't have the federally mandated nicotine level. It all sounds pretty crazy.
I could just imagine it now, a whole new cop show just on
cop cigarettes
yeah.
in New York.
Yeah. Bad vape. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad vape. All right. My singing is not so great tonight. So I want to read one passage from this person, and I will butcher the name beyond belief. The name is right here. Yale, like Yale, the college. Yeah. Yale Osowski.
That's close.
Yale Osowski.
Yep.
He said, while a ban is well intended to stop a generation of people from smoking, it will almost certainly have a disproportionate impact on minority communities due to increased police enforcement and will take away police officers' time from pursuing actual crimes. It will also create a new illicit market that will give incentives to criminals to traffic on our streets, i.e. also not giving that revenue to the state any longer. Making communities less safe than before, said Osowski. Added to this, the FDA has done nothing to offer real alternatives that could help stop smoking today, including vaping devices, nicotine pouches, gums, lozenges, and more. If the FDA is serious about reducing smoking in our country, then the answer must be on harm reduction in all aspects, rather than ratcheting up bans and restrictions that will cause more harm. So if you want to watch this, I recommend. It's a pretty good, decent watch. You can hear some good commentary. I don't know if anybody's really listening to what these people have to say, but this is sort of at the feet of a consumer advocacy group. So you'll probably see some ad campaigns or something. Maybe follow CCC on Twitter. I'm sure they probably have a Twitter handle. But that's right, Rog. I mean, we already see it in the news today.
Yeah.
We already see these kids that are 16, 17 years old. Goofball got a vape and he's vaping on it, which no one wants a kid to vape. But if that's the worst thing he's doing, then he's not really a threat or a danger to anybody. And then before you knew it, it's all over the news with some 16, 17-year-old kid getting tased.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just going to spiral out of control because we already know that a good portion of the U.S. has a disdain for police officers right now and law enforcement in general.
Or strip search.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying the point is that now you're going to be sending these cops into these inner city areas or these demographical zones, and they're going to be trying to bust people with cigarettes. Like, hey, stand over against the wall. Let me see your cigarettes.
Spread them.
Yeah. You had a cigarette in your hand. Let me see your cigarettes. I want to see what the milligram count on that is.
They start eating them.
You can't tell because we manufacture these cigarettes in a small little bathtub that we have on the 6th floor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they just got rolling tobacco and papers and the whole line. Anyway, I don't know. I'm making an assumption. So my takeaway on that one was there's been much discussion around this, and it too will open up a huge black market of high nicotine cigarettes that will now be in demand. And I expect there to be more and more reports of vaping and cigarette busts that turned ugly. That's my feeling on that one. So this is an advocacy group. I don't know what they plan on doing with their little powwow or if they were able to mobilize beyond this, but it looks like some people are going to stand up and fight for stuff.
Good. Quick question from my chemist there in the middle. Can you buy something off let's just say the supermarket, the store, the pharmacy to make a menthol cigarette?
Yeah, easy.
Okay.
Simple as hell.
All right.
Well,
Not
the
a
other
problem.
thing too is those illegal little snap balls that you can put inside the butts as well too.
Yeah.
So
it's dead easy. Easy to do it.
I'm sure you could just dip it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Tim. Like some sort
Jackpot.
of, just dip
it in a liquid base.
Yeah.
All right, so the last article is an advocacy article. This came out, I think, a couple days ago. I've been seeing it flying around Twitter and on Facebook. But it was a consumer survey that was done up by American Vaping, AVM, American Vapor Manufacturers. Is that what that stands for?
That's right. Yep. That is correct, Tim.
So it's a citizens petition, and I recommend that you go over to CASA and you fill out this petition. This is actually going up against the FDA's website. So it's an active live citizen petition, but it's on behalf of the American Vapor Manufacturers Association. And like I said, it's been posted to regulations.gov and is open for comments and support. The petition is asking the FDA to do the following: use its enforcement discretion to allow the continued marketing of open system products that use synthetic nicotine, for which a pre-market application has been submitted through July 13th, 2022, and until FDA completes its scientific review. Allow for these manufacturers to continue submitting additional data and amendments for their application. Now, you can go ahead and read the background. You can read the full petition. It's down here. But it's that same exercise, folks. There's all my information. I don't want to show that.
Share it.
I can't. Huh?
No, I'm just kidding, Tim.
I just didn't delete it before I brought it up. At any rate, they have a prescribed letter with the talking points in it. You can just go to this page. It's under the calls to action section. It's a national call to action. And I recommend that you basically, either stick with the form letter or embellish on it and add your own content if you'd like to. This actually gets posted against a petition on the FDA's website. I looked earlier today, and I was sorely disappointed. There was only 76 responses to this. So, if we want to have that voice, you got to utilize that voice. And 76 is unacceptable. But I think they only do an update it once per day at, I think, around 1 in the morning or something crazy like that. Yeah. So that said, maybe that number will have jumped, but I've seen it posted on other people's Facebook pages like Matthew Salter. I think I've seen it a few times on Twitter. But I really highly recommend that you go over to CASA's website and you fill out this particular petition because I think it's an important one. And you should be using your voice.
.org.
But with that is your news for Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022. I'm tapping out. And John, back to you in the studio.
Yeah. Thank you, Timmy. Let me get that out of there. Bada boom, bada boom, bada bing. Big shout out to two people that spoke today at the Nicotine Delivery Conference. And let me pull up this real quick here. Boom, before we head on out of here. Share screen, John. Boom. Our very own Amanda. I'm Allison. Oops.
Amanda's in Mexico.
I know she's in Mexico.
She's probably watching right now, and she's rolling her eyes at you.
I apologize. I'll buy you a drink, Allison. And Mr. Look at Nick. Nick we went hard on that picture.
That what that is right there. Wait, just for a second, because is Nick still watching? I don't know. I just wanted to compliment him, but that is, you can tell the form right there. That particular form and execution is residual from when Nick was a underwear model in the Sears catalog.
Nick.
He's gonna get you for that one.
Tidy whities.
Yep.
Big shout out to both of them. Yeah, to both of them for doing that today. Hopefully we get some good news from that. Allison will be back on the show and talk a little bit about that next week, how that whole thing went. And let me take that down there because Tim's got that underwear thing stuck in my head now.
Save that picture for next time Nick's on the show.
I'm saving that one. That is the picture he posted. He posted that one. Yeah, the vice president of the Florida Smoke-Free Association. All right, guys. You know what? I haven't read this in a while. If you're new to the Sample Box channel, please hit the subscribe button and hit that like bell. Let me do this right. Hit that like bell. You'll get notifications when we post new content and when the show is going to be on. Some people said they've had some issues. You're going to have to unsubscribe and subscribe again, and that fixes their little notification problem that they have. And what else? Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Do you have something, Paul?
Oh, it's quite funny. Someone sent me something on Twitter just a second ago. Rachel Wolfson, she's part of the Jackass crew, right? And she's come out now. She uses Juul, obviously. They can take our vapes and abortions, but they can never take our freedom. And on the 8th day, God vaped. Genesis 4:20. You got it. This is brilliant.
Oh, hold on. Do I need? Oh, that's not you. That's Tim down there. I thought you were trying to post a picture of it.
Oh no, this.
Oh, that's
No, I'll put it in like our Wednesday night chat. No, sorry, I put it in private chat here. You actually need to go through this on Twitter. She is tearing them apart with both comedy and it's brilliant. I love it. I just stuck it there.
Do you want me to post that link on the channel?
Oh, yeah. Rachel Wolfson. Yeah. She's part of the Jackass crew. But
okay, yeah, I'll put it on there.
Some of her comments are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I got it in there, and I'll put it on the Facebook side, too, as well. Are you talking? Oh, the Jackass crew. I know who you're talking about. Okay, yeah. All right. I thought you were talking about something else.
Oh no!
Yeah. I know who you're talking about now. I saw her picture. Yeah. I know who you're talking. Yeah.
But some of her comments are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, boys, before we head on out of here? All right. Again, thank you. No. Again, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. All the links to all the articles we talked about today are in the header. So if you want to go back, and they're in the chat as well, but they're a little bit harder to find there. But if you go back to this link on the YouTube side or the Facebook side, all the links to the articles we spoke about tonight are there. So we'll see everybody next Wednesday. Tim may post. You can post the links to your articles if you want. And we'll see everybody next week. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Tim. And we are out of here. Let me find the right button, guys. I still haven't did an outro, but hey, deal with the numbers.